Hi everyone, and welcome to my next video in this series of safeguarding bite-sized videos. Before we get going in this video, I want to just explain that we are going to cover a topic which could draw on some emotions and be very upsetting. So please, if after watching the content of this or listening to the content of this video, you need support, please access the safeguarding team, your line manager, or from someone whom you trust. So in this category, we're going to look at child sexual abuse, and we'll first look at what it is. So it's defined as sexual abuse involves forcing or inciting a child or young person to take part in sexual activities, not necessarily involving high levels of violence, whether or not the child is aware of what is happening. The activities may involve physical contact, including assault by penetration, for example, rape or oral sex, or may involve non-penetrative acts such as kissing, masturbation, rubbing and touching outside of clothing. They may also include non-contact activities such as involving children in looking at or in the production of sexual images, watching sexual activities, encouraging children to behave in sexually inappropriate ways, or grooming a child in preparation for abuse. It's really important to state that if we are concerned that one of our learners or one of our children or young people is being sexually abused, no disclosure is actually necessary to raise the concern to statutory services about potential sexual abuse. We can look at things like the family background. Have there been concerns in the past or questions about potential sexual abuse? Do not allow a child or adult's level of learning disability or difficulty to distract you from a sexual abuse hypothesis. These children or adults are often even more vulnerable, especially physically or cognitively disabled children or adults that require intimate care. Children may be sexually abused by adults and or their peers. And on the flip side of what we're saying, children who are also identified as possible perpetrators of sexual abuse should also be considered victims. Looking at the signs and cues, it's really important to state that child sexual abuse frequently goes unreported. Regardless of what the statistics say, we know that child sexual abuse, and in fact any sexual abuse, often is unreported. Children and young people may tell someone directly about the incident or incidents of sexual abuse, but they may also disclose an incident less discreetly, gradually, and incrementally over a period of time. So non-verbal cues and other signs of possible sexual abuse must be identified. So let's just have a look at examples of what some indications or signs and cues may be. I think we're going to focus primarily on the adolescence signs and cues because I think that's the remit we work in. So we'll look at what's quite consistent between the ages of 13 to 18, which is our main cohort. In terms of identifying or things we might want to consider, ask a question, is sexual abuse happening, is where they request emergency contraception, deliberate self-harm, in particular cutting, or maybe recurrent suicide attempts. Other mental health problems, including anxiety, depression, or eating disorders. Experiencing alcohol or drug usage. Behavioral changes, such as engaging in criminally offending behavior. Deterioration in academic achievement. Pregnancy in a young person with no history of consensual sexual activity. Unexplained anogenital symptoms, including genital bleeding and discharge, and suspected or proven sexually transmitted infection. I think looking at them individually, We need to be very, very careful because we may identify one of those factors, but it may not be child sexual abuse. But actually, we should always be asking ourselves, actually, is that consistent with what we know around child sexual abuse? Are any of these things happening? In which case, is it child sexual abuse? Be professionally curious, ask more questions. Remember, if you suspect a child is being sexually abused, do not delay and don't do nothing. Take action and contact the MASH or the safeguarding team. If we look at statistics, and in a typical classroom, 1 child in 20 is being sexually abused. 1 child in 20 is being sexually abused. So, as I've said, don't do nothing if you suspect a child is being sexually abused. If you've got a gut feeling and nothing else to go on, I would still rather you have a discussion with a safeguarding team than not have one. The contact details for the safeguarding team and the multi-agency safeguarding hub are on the next slide in the video, so you will have the contact numbers there. If throughout this video anything's caused you distress or upset, please seek help. Thanks for watching.